the money being pulled out, a lot of this is, so you have the highest risk in the market, which is crypto, right? And so there are investors that are saying, hey, listen, we're getting nervous about the market, we're getting nervous about risk assets. We think that NVIDIA and these stocks, these mega cap tech stocks, are still the place to be. So money, I think, is rotating over, and you're seeing Bitcoin suffer. We didn't see. Now, listen, one thing I will say is Bitcoin bottomed out recently at around 49,000, the same day as the August 5th low on the stock market. So there is still some correlation, but there's no doubt that we've broken down on that. And I think it's because the stock market has performed so well, it's sucking up so much of that money that would go otherwise into crypto.
Bitcoin Zella stands out with its simplicity and clarity. We've crafted an experience that anyone can dive into, whether you're a crypto expert or just a new to the crypto world. Now, guess who keeps his eye on us? The author of best-selling book Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And we want to take this opportunity and thank all the people who trusted us, and we read every comment. And the best part, it's free. Subscribing now means you will get all new information for free. Don't just follow the trends, stay ahead of them. Subscribe to Bitcoin Zella today and enjoy the new edge. Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist of VerifiedInvesting.com, discusses how markets will likely react to a Fed pivot in September, his new prediction for Bitcoin, and more.
Yeah, so one of the things I think is fascinating is that when we had that big dump on August 5th, which again was when the NASDAQ was down over 5% early in the day, we actually touched on Bitcoin, the spot ETF approval high before we had that 20% correction in Bitcoin, right? So we actually retested a technical support level. It was resistance. We broke out above it. We've now come back and retested it. In addition, you have this parallel channel, right? So this parallel channel, when you have a big move up like this is actually what we would refer to in technical analysis as bullish consolidation. Basically, price makes lower highs and lower lows, but it stays within the up move, which was from this low here all the way up to 74,000. And so actually, as long as you stay within this parallel channel on a closing basis, this is actually a bullish chart for Bitcoin. And it does make me wonder if the stock market starts getting weaker and investors start to say, hey, listen, maybe we don't want to be in the stock market quite as much. Does Bitcoin see money flow? Because as you mentioned, it has become uncorrelated. Maybe money was flowing out of crypto and Bitcoin into the stock market. Maybe it reverses a little bit. And so I would actually be, as long as this parallel channel holds, I would be bullish on Bitcoin here.
Really? Okay. What's the upside target you see for Bitcoin in the short term?
So you got to respect the channel. So 69,000 right up here. Again, what I do as a technician is I look at the history of it, and we can see every time it hits this line, it pulls back. So at least in the short term, if you hit 69, see if it pulls back. If it can break through that, 74,000 is a minor stopping point, which would be the all-time high. And I think you actually go quite a bit higher than that. I would even dare say that it wouldn't shock me in the next year or two. And I know Bitcoiners would love to hear sooner, but I do think 100,000 is definitely on the radar for this asset. I do think it slowly is becoming a risk asset here, essentially it's becoming a asset that is not as correlated to the stock market as more so gold. I would say more so gold.
Bitcoin will soon enter what one analyst is calling batchet season, which could see the price of BTC surge as high as $150,000 by the end of 2024. But others suggest a short-term seller overhang could dent the rally. In an August 26X post, Real Vision analyst Jamie Coutts said that unless something has fundamentally changed, Bitcoin price action is still on track to enter batchet season, also known as the banana zone, a term coined by Real Vision founder Raoul Pal. In an attached chart, Coutts noted that in the previous two bull cycles, Bitcoin had notched new respective all-time highs in the 365 days following local US dollar index peaks. He suggested that if BTC follows previous bull market patterns, it could surge more than 100% from an approximate price of $64,000 to reach as high as $150,000 by the end of 2024. However, other analysts aren't as optimistic in the short term. Pseudonymous CryptoQuant researcher XP Manager pointed to high volumes of potential selling pressure for Bitcoin. In an August 27 research note, XP Manager noted that large, short-term Bitcoin sellers had become active. He explained that while Bitcoin had staged a successful rally last week, Some stagnant metrics had begun showing signs of activity once again. Short-term holders transferred 33,155 Bitcoin, as shown by the 1 meter spent output age bands. This could present immediate selling pressure. The slowdown in price suggests that Bitcoin might initiate a free pullback, wrote ex-BT manager. He advised extra caution if these figures were to increase in the coming days, adding that a potential sell-off could intensify. On August 23, Bitcoin's price gained 6.2% and has since held steady above the $63,000 support level. Despite this price action, many Bitcoin derivatives traders have yet to flip bullish, indicating skepticism about the recent move upward. The Bitcoin futures premium, a key indicator of risk appetite for derivatives, has stagnated at around 6% for the last month. This indicates that many professional traders remain cautious about opening leveraged long positions.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the downside because investors have to be aware that there is downside risk here, right? So if the markets, and this is something we saw, so we look at this dump on Bitcoin that took us from 70,000 down to 49,000. First of all, that's a massive drop in basically 2 weeks. So investors have to understand that if you do break below and have a daily close below this level here, this parallel channel, it does open the door to seeing some major downside. And if we took out 49,000, I would start to say, okay, well, your next stop would be your 20% low correction from the spot ETF at 38,000, 39,000 area. So again, just understand that Bitcoin seems to have a little bit of this gold sense where it does better when the stock market struggles a little bit, but it also still can get panicked. Investors can get panicked and still dump it out when there's all-out panic, as we saw. And by the way, gold sold off that same day as well when we saw the stock market and Bitcoin collapsing. So when panic hits, all assets get sold. People ask questions later, they just dump it at that point. So I would be very aware of that. And again, this is where technicals come in, is that if you do see a break of this area, you just step aside, let the dust settle, and then reevaluate. You might be able to get it at a lot lower level. So in technical analysis, when you have a sharp up move like this on the chart, and then you kind of go into this period, what's happening is that it's had a big run. What happens is psychologically, some investors say, wow, it's gone up so much. I'm a little nervous about Bitcoin. Maybe I'm not a hodler out there. So you have some sellers that come in, right? But if it was only sellers, price would collapse back down. But even at the current level of between 50 and 70,000, we're seeing buyers coming out of the woodwork and meeting them here, right? So even though you had this huge run in Bitcoin up here, yeah, there's some sellers. There's sellers coming out, but there's also buyers stepping up. And that creates this kind of equilibrium of buyers and sellers, which again, after a bull run is really impressive because you're not getting just all sellers like, oh, let's just take the money and run. There's still buyers that are willing to step up. Now, eventually, as the buyers are willing to step up, eventually the sellers get exhausted of selling. There's all the people that want to sell, they sold, right? So what happens then is if buyers are still willing to step up and eventually the sellers that wanted to dump, what do we get? We get the breakout up to the upside. And that's where you get that next leg to the upside. So that is a bull. If you're a bull, that's what you're looking for on Bitcoin, is that those sellers finally say, okay, I've unloaded what I wanted to. There's no more sellers. And because the buyers have held price so close to the highs, it then gets its next bull run. And once it breaks the highs, all new buyers come in. They start chasing to the upside.
Zooming out, trader and analyst Rect Capital offered an optimistic take on BTC price performance. Bitcoin, he noted, was close to reclaiming the area it had previously occupied following its April block subsidy halving, one he called the post-halving reaccumulation range. The importance of this technical event cannot be understated, he argued. Essentially, Bitcoin is resynchronizing with historical post-halving price tendencies. An accompanying chart compared this year's post-halving price behavior to that after the previously halving in 2020. And do not forget to subscribe to Bitcoin Seller. The most important news will reach your inbox on a daily basis and for free. I do not know why you have not subscribed yet. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more daily updates. Remember, knowledge is power, and we're here to empower you on your financial journey. Until next time, happy investing.